and thank you for being here at the University channel. I'm gonna start the interview.
Yes, thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. I could watch the movies that were like screening in the festival, and I really enjoy them. So I have a lot of questions that I want to ask you.
No problem.
I thought your work, the selection was diverse. Like, it's different, the short films from the feature film in style. But I thought they have in common something, that you work with time, like history time,
Yes.
in a very like complex way. Like, you bring things from the past to the present.
Yes.
And you also bring like a futuristic past to the present also,
Yes.
which is...
Yes.
So time is always like not precise.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very interesting because the images you produce are not like a testimony of their time, or they're not just a testimony.
Yeah.
So the interpretation that you can make of them, it's still open, it's not closed by history.
Yes.
So I read that you approach your work as like reshoots. Like,
Yes, reshooting.
So could you tell us like about that?
Speaking about the reshooting is a term from film industry, especially in Hollywood. They call it pickup, and which is not a good word because which means when you are making a film, and some specific thing went wrong. So when you review the whole process, you realize you have to go back to the scene to reshoot it again to fix the whole story. Like, they put something wrong in the scene or dressing wrong, so something like that. Although storyline was not complete. So reshooting is a very interesting thing in film production. Like, you have to spend more money and time to go fix it. And to me, it's a metaphor. Like, what I was doing and what I'm doing right now is like, I always go back to the past and in a specific moment, and I reshoot what I remember and all what I want to talk about. So I like this word. I use this word to describe my personal method. And also, it's very interesting you mentioned about the time, and it's very blurred because time is not, to most of the people, time is very mutual. Like, it's science, it's like physical things. But personally, to myself, like, time is also, or memory or history is also very fuzzy and unreal. I don't know how to describe that. For example, the one you mentioned about is the futurologist book. I got it from my grandfather's bookshelf when he passed away, and I have that book, and I was very fascinated by the title. It's called Future Shock, and it's an American guy, Evan Toffler. He wrote a book in 1970, but when they translated to Taiwan, to Chinese version, it was 1972. And at that time, and I checked the reports and some records, that book became very popular in Taiwan. Everyone wants to buy one because it's about future. But you have to understand, during the 70s, Taiwan was still under the martial law era. It's in the process from the agricultural society to the industrial society, and also then semiconductor industries. So this is the very interesting moment. And also, I was born in 1976. So to me, it's 70s and 80s. To me, is like a childhood memory, but also very fuzzy, very blurred. And to me, it's very unreal. So sometimes I doubt myself, like, am I in the real world they told me? Is the narrative is very subtle, or it's just a human-made the narratives? So when I have, for example, when I'm reading the book from Evan Toffler, that actually it was a future from the past, because I have that in 2015, and I knew the book until that time. So, but I realized, wow, this is from 1970s. And when we finished the film, it was 2019, so it's already 50 years, 5 decades. So when we show the film, the first premiere was in China. It's in a contemporary art big show. So audiences in China, when they watch the film, they see the lyrics, the narrative. We have a narrator reading the theory from Evan Toffler. People are like in confusion, like, is it about now or because the terms are also sometimes very old and not the same like nowadays. So they kind of like confused by my narrative, by my way to combine the things, and that's what I try to express, because sometimes I was fascinated by that kind of thing. So that's also why I'm always fascinated by some old things, like old school, old VHS tape. I probably will watch it at midnight, and that will give me some strange things, strange feeling. And so yeah, that creates my voice pretty much. Like I like old things, not because of nostalgia, but because I think that can challenge our sense and perspective nowadays. And we will rethink and we will reimagine what is now and what is future, what is past. Yeah, I think that's the main reason I keep doing that.
It's very interesting, because also with Woman Revenge or Glamorous Boys of Tang, for example, Woman Revenge, that could be like a machista film in that context, but the images, like you free them from their context, because they can also be something else.
Yes.
They're a testimony of that time, but they can be also interpreted from a different point of view.
Yes.
So you like make them, those images, like wild and free again, and I love that.
Thank you.
And there's like a component of fashion in your work that I think fashion do the same, like take things from the past and bring them back in a new context. So exactly. I felt that there was a connection there.
Yes, you're totally right. We see costume design very important in my productions. So I work with costume designer together at the very beginning when I draw the storyboard, because we knew also the production designer, because we knew color, art, fashion all has its context. Color could be very political. Fashion also, if you read the fashion history, 19th, they are more adult of black, which has the reason because it's decision, economy decision. In the 80s, everything is colorful because it's by very consumerist period and capitalist high peak in the history. So this color also reflects the historical context to people, and so we use these crazy element together. But for each film we always work at very beginning together with all the team. So I will tell them my goal and I draw my storyboard, and we will together make the decision of color, which is the main color. Like for example, in the Women Revenge, you always see red and white and black. That's the purpose. And also you mentioned about how I make it wider, because I think that movie talks about violence, and so we cited a lot of Western historical images like Baroque, and also a lot of killing scenes. But we also mix it with the scenes from those women revenge films from Taiwan. We try to mix them together. So it creates a different flavor. So people also, again, they will confuse, like, where does that come from? What time it was located? You're confused. But I like this confusion because that things force people to imagine more. Yeah.
That's so interesting. I also felt like, well, we have 5 minutes more, but I also felt in your work that there's like an scene that's very vibrant in Taiwan at some point in the 80s. And I understand there's like these prohibitions, but desire managed to like go away, like in every cultural way. And I feel like you recreate that like atmosphere in your work, like, and I wanted to know if you work with a team in all your projects, if you're like a group or you change in every project, or there's, because I could recognize some same cast in different works.
Yes.
So I felt like you work like with a community of people.
You have very good eyes. Yeah. So, for example, at very beginning, when we do my previous film from very early work, which is called Super Taboo, it was 2015, we started to contact with some specific group, subculture group, like they are focused on BDSM, or they are doing like some sexual party. They hold this kind of subculture group is also a kind of social movement in the society. They try to push the boundary of body politics and also trans cultures. So a lot of familiar face you saw in my film. Actually, for example, in Future Shock, there's a very tall Caucasian guy. He's from New Zealand, but he's now one of the most famous drag queen in Taiwan. So I like this context because he also she also represent his social background and his group, her group, and represent the energy from the society. So those performers, especially, some of them keep working with me because they each of us create a link in the cultural dimension and in the art dimension. Like we trust each other, so I can trust them. I give them the storyboard. They totally rely on my direction. They have no problem with that. Also, sometimes they design the scene for me. So I need their creativity. For example, in the Women's Revenge, you see a woman was roped by 4 white policemen with white suits. And that rope actually is a very beautiful design, and which was designed by a super master of roping art, like so cool. BDSM. Yeah, he's the local Taiwanese #1 guy. He can design it because you need professional one. Yeah. They can make it safely and beautiful. Yeah. So that is a very good example. So as your questions, like I always cooperate with some partners and with different topics and different contexts. When we have the feeling, we will work together. So I sometimes mention my new idea to them, and they give me their feedback, and we together create the whole thing, which is amazing.
You can see that in your work.
Yeah, exactly. We are a happy team. It's not like a film industry, like predators. Yeah. Usually, when they finish the shooting, when I say the final cut, and everybody are like, woo, and then they jump into the river maybe, because we have a river in a women's river, in a glamorous spoiled town. You see the river?
Beautiful one.
Yeah. So when we finish the last cut, every character's performers, they jump into the river like a party. That thing also very touching.
I really love Glamorous Boys of Tang. I think it's very impressive. Yeah. So we're on time. I wanted to say thank you to you for the interview and your time and your work.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for your questions as well. Thank you.